Before the world knew the name Donald Trump, there was just a boy from Queens, a boy with restless eyes and an untamed spirit. Born on June 14, 1946, Donald grew up in a family where success was not an option, it was a rule. His father, Fred Trump, was a strict and ambitious real estate developer. His mother, Mary Ann, was graceful, loving, and quietly strong. From the very beginning, Donald was different. While other kids played quietly in the park, he was the one climbing fences, starting games, and trying to lead everyone, even when no one had asked him to. Teachers called him energetic. His parents called him trouble with potential. At Q Forest School, his confidence often clashed with authority. He wasn't afraid to challenge teachers, to argue, or to speak his mind, a trait that would one day define his entire political identity. But at that time, it was chaos. His father, worried that his son's wild energy might destroy his future, decided to send him away to the New York Military Academy. That decision changed everything. In the academy, discipline hit him like a storm. Waking up at dawn, marching in the cold, and learning to control his impulses, Donald began to transform. The same energy that once caused trouble was now sharpened into focus. He became competitive, determined, even charming in his own fierce way. He started winning respect, not just because of his attitude, but because of his ability to lead. He wasn't the smartest boy in the class, but he was the boldest. He didn't want to follow the rules, he wanted to write them. By the time he graduated, the wild boy from Queens had learned two powerful truths. Number one, rules can be broken if you have the courage to own the outcome. And number two, leadership isn't about being liked, it's about being followed. And with those lessons burning inside him, Donald J. Trump walked out of that academy not just as a student, but as a man who already saw the world as his battlefield. After military school, Donald Trump stepped into the world like a soldier entering a new kind of battlefield. Not one of guns and uniforms, but of steel, concrete, and ambition. He joined the Wharton School of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania, one of the most prestigious business schools in America. There, he studied not just numbers and theories, he studied people. He watched how success moved, how power spoke, and how dreams could turn into buildings that touched the clouds. But deep inside, he knew one thing. He didn't want to work for someone. He wanted the world to work with him. After graduation, he returned to New York, not as a boy chasing his father's shadow, but as a man determined to outgrow it. His father, Fred Trump, already owned thousands of apartments in Brooklyn and Queens, building affordable housing for middle-class families. But Donald wanted something bigger. He wanted the skyline. In his early 20s, he began walking the streets of Manhattan, staring at skyscrapers that kissed the clouds. One day, he would whisper to himself, "My name will be on one of those." Then came his first big challenge, the Commodore Hotel. It was old, decaying, and losing money. But Donald saw something no one else did, potential. While others saw ruins, he saw the foundation of a dream. With relentless energy and bold negotiation, he convinced banks and investors to take a chance on him. When the Grand Hyatt Hotel opened in 1980, the city finally noticed the young man from Queens. The building gleamed like a symbol of rebirth, and for the first time, New York whispered the name, Donald Trump. He started building not just structures, but a brand. Trump became more than a name. It became an idea, power, luxury, success. But behind the glittering lights, few knew the silent battles he was fighting. Sleepless nights, risky deals, and the fear of losing everything. There were times when the pressure broke him, when even his confidence wavered. But giving up, that word never existed in his vocabulary. He once told a reporter, "I don't do it for money. I do it because I love the game." And indeed, for Donald Trump, business wasn't work. It was war. By the end of the 1980s, he wasn't just a businessman anymore. He was a symbol, the boy who had turned rebellion into empire. But destiny wasn't done testing him yet, because the higher you rise, the stronger the winds become. By the early 2000s, Donald Trump was no longer just a businessman. He was a brand, a name carved into marble, glass, and gold. His empire stretched across hotels, casinos, golf courses, and TV screens. When he walked into a room, the air itself seemed to shift. Yet beneath the glow of success, there was something deeper, a restlessness, a feeling that wealth and fame were no longer enough. He had conquered business, but now he wanted to conquer history. In 2015, when Donald J. Trump announced his candidacy for the president of the United States, the world laughed. A businessman in politics, they said, but he didn't flinch. He looked straight into the camera and declared, "The American dream dream is dead, but I'm gonna bring it back." Those words echoed across the nation. Millions who felt unheard, unseen, and forgotten found a voice in him. His rallies grew louder, his slogans simpler, his message sharper. He spoke like no politician ever dared to, raw, emotional, and unfiltered. It wasn't politics, it was theater, it was war, and he was the showman who turned both into a revolution. In 2016, against every prediction, every poll, and every critic, Donald J. Trump became the 45th president of the United States. The man who once sold skyscrapers now carried the weight of a nation. But power, like fame, comes at a price. Behind the closed doors of the White House, Trump faced storms fiercer than any business deal. Every decision was dissected, every word turned into headlines. Allies betrayed him, enemies never slept. There were nights, long, silent nights, when he would stand by the window of the Oval Office, staring at the American flag fluttering outside, asking himself the one question no one dared to ask. Was it worth it? Because for all the power, he had lost something priceless: peace. The boy from Queens who once dreamed of touching the sky was now trapped inside the walls of politics, a golden cage built from his own ambition. And yet, even in defeat, even in the face of trials and criticism, Donald Trump never bowed. He walked out of the White House with the same fire he had as a boy, stubborn, fearless, unbroken. Some saw arrogance, others saw courage, but beneath it all was just a man, flawed, human, and still chasing a dream bigger than himself. Because maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump wasn't fighting for power anymore. He was fighting to prove that even after everything, a politician can still be human.